All right, everyone. Welcome back. We got another episode of the Wacky World of Energy. A little bit late, but Rare Petro's very own Anthony McDaniels is battling through the sickness, getting you that content you deserve. How you feeling, Anthony?
Well, I felt better. There's enough tree pollen in the air to suffocate an elephant.
Keeping you down. Well, it's not keeping you down. We only delayed this recording a little bit, but we really wanted to get this out because we've got, well, the world is wacky. These stories are insane. I can't believe what I'm reading from all around, but what should we start off with? We've got a lot to touch on.
Oh, man. Well, why don't we start off with the one that we were talking about before we started recording?
Sounds good to me.
Why don't you tee that up, Tavis? What the European Commission sent out guidelines about the April 21st? What is that?
Well, as we've been saying for weeks, Russia really wants to, well, have their goods paid for in rubles. And at first, everyone said, no, we can't do that. We won't be doing that. But as more and more time passes, it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. And the EU is scrambling to find some way to, I don't know, stop this from happening. But they really can't. So they're making these weird loopholes and agreements. And it's a whole mess. But at the end of the day, Russia's going to get what it wants.
Yeah, the European Commission sends out guidance to its member states on April 21st, 2022, admitting that it, quote, appears possible, unquote, for European buyers of Russian gas to pay according to the terms of Moscow's decree on ruble conversion without violating international sanctions. What? Wait a minute. What? Oh man, we got to really hold the line here, we're sanctioning Russia, yeah, and Russia says, well, you didn't have the cojones to cut off buying our gas, so we'll do it for you. Here you go. You got to pay us in rubles. Isn't that ruble stronger now than before the Ukraine
I did
invasion?
just look it up, and about the time the Ukraine invasion kicked off, it was about 0.0129 rubles to dollars. Now it's 0.0135. So it is stronger than it has been for. It's about where it was in December and going up.
Come on, give me a. There's a demand for rubles. It's not rocket surgery. Well, gee, I wonder where that came from.
Yeah, like we've said, Russia's got the goods. Rest of Europe needs it.
So basically, there's a bunch of brain damage in this article about EU companies can ask their Russian counterparts to fulfill their contractual obligations in the same manner as before the adoption of the decree, i.e. by depositing the due amount in euros or dollars. It goes on. The degree, I'm glad we're doing long form now more, Tabs, because this is like, yes, you got to wade through this muck.
It's a lot of legal jargon.
This is what the European Commission is saying. Okay, this is their vomit. Oh my God. The decree does not preclude a payment process which is in line with the EU restrictive measures. However, the procedure for derogations from the requirements of the decree is not clear yet. The decree introduces a new payment procedure. Again, this is Moscow's decree, whereby the deposition of euros or dollars on the supplier's account is no longer considered as fulfillment of the contractual obligations. Instead, euros or dollars received by EU companies need to be converted into rubles under Moscow's decree, and EU companies are only deemed to have fulfilled their contractual obligations once the conversion process has been successfully completed and the payment has been made in rubles. Okay, so this continues. As the conversion process may take an undefined amount of time, during which time the foreign currency is entirely in the hands of Russian authorities, including the central bank, it may be considered as a loan granted by EU companies.
What kind of mental gymnastics is this?
Likewise, they do not prohibit opening an account with Gazprom Bank. Such engagement or account, however, should not lead to the violation of other prohibitions. Wow. it's like they're trying to say, look, we can still have these sanctions, but there might be a way actually to satisfy Russia and not violate our sanctions. I mean, come on, man, stop. Either you're going to pay for their stuff or you're not.
Mm.
And if they're saying that's how they want it paid for, don't come out and say, well, we can actually do what they want without, what, breaking the line that we're all united against this Ukraine invasion as we're punishing. First of all, this whole thing in rubles came from Moscow. It did not, this whole, and why? Because Russia was getting paid in euros and dollars, mainly euros over there, but not able to access said euros in the account because of the banking freezes. So essentially, it was like, hey, we'll release these to you once you stop being bad. And they're like, well, you know what? How about this? How about you just pay me in my currency and I'll continue to send you your stuff? And we have our first shutoffs happening right now as of, I think, today, correct?
I think it might have even been yesterday. If I'm not mistaken, it was Poland and somebody else, but it's done. There's no more energy supplies. Prices
Poland
jumped a
and
good
Bulgaria.
5%.
Poland and Bulgaria.
Bulgaria,
So
that's
we
who it
have
was.
we have an article here from Yahoo Finance dated today of our recording, Wednesday, April 27th, 2022. It says 4 European gas buyers have already paid for supplies in rubles, according to Gazprom, basically. Even if other buyers reject the Kremlin's terms, more cutoffs after the halt in gas flows to Poland and Bulgaria Wednesday aren't likely until the second half of May when next payments are due. So basically what happened this week is Poland and Bulgaria had their gas flows cut off because they weren't paying in rubles. And they don't expect any other cutoffs until next month because of payments made ahead of time. Apparently, you can't find which 4 countries. I can't find the list anywhere. I'm looking the internet. You've looked on the internet. It's according to Gazprom sources, not anybody else. I mean, I don't know who those 4 countries are, and it's possible that they're just saying that that's happening. But given the nature of Europe's dependence on Russian gas, it probably is true that at least a couple of countries have. Who knows who they are yet? I guess that'll come out over time. And then on top of this, we do see that 10 European companies have already opened accounts at Gazprom Bank. Again, the point of that is so that you can exchange in rubles or exchange for rubles. So anyway, it begins. The shutoff of the EU's gas supply.
And I'll be sure to throw up the chart that they have in that article too, but Poland and Bulgaria consume, it looks like, shy of 10 billion cubic meters of gas for half one of 2021. So I don't know. Maybe it's France next. Maybe it's Austria, because they can only make so many examples until people give in, right?
Yeah, we have this. There's actually an article from Al Jazeera today as well as our recording, April 27th, saying that the EU or the European Commission president warned companies not to bend to Russian demands. The same date it comes out that 10 companies have set up Gazprom accounts.
Right.
Yeah. Gazprom turned off the taps to Poland and Bulgaria on Wednesday, April 27th, in dramatic escalation of the standoff between Russia and Ukraine's European allies. Moscow was making good on its threat to cut supplies if payments weren't made in local currency, i.e. rubles. And attention now turns to how Germany and Italy, the biggest European buyers of Russian gas, will respond. Europe is trying to maintain a united front, but according to a person close to Gazprom, some European companies are taking steps that would allow them to comply. Companies with such contracts should not accede to Russian demands. EU unity may now be tested. Well, you can talk about unity all you want, but when I look at this freaking map, y'all need their gas.
Yeah, that's the one thing that unites them, Russian gas. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like you said, we were talking about this earlier. The EU warns companies not to buy Russian gas in rubles. I believe you said, or what? what is really the opportunity cost here? Either they don't, and there's energy scarcity, and everything falls apart, or you give in to Russian demands, buy the energy we need, and just let them do what they
Yeah,
want with Ukraine. It seems like the two options.
yeah, it's just the biggest rat's nest out there. I mean, they are over there saying, and we've talked about this in our previous episodes, making a big old deal about how they're going to be united and they're going to punish Russia economically and this and that. Russia's still selling their oil, and they're selling it to other countries at a discount that don't really care about paying for it in rubles. India and China, for example. They're probably funneling plenty of oil through Iran. I mean, I don't know that, but
Oh,
come on. You don't have
but
to be a
it's
genius.
probably a safe assumption.
And, this whole freaking time, all I'm seeing is that they're going to talk, 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 talk. We're going to punish Russia, blah, blah, blah. And the Russian ruble is stronger than before this invasion. I mean, really, it seems to me as a game of chicken on the currency front. And again, I fail. I I just can't bring myself to believe that this whole cutoff from Western currencies wasn't calculated for before this whole thing started.
Oh yeah, this was no drop of a hat invasion. I mean, they've been setting this up for months, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
at least. I
Hmm.
mean, and then you've got the European Union trying to say that I see another article come out that by 2027 they'll be totally free of Russian gas. Congratulations, they'll just build 3 more pipelines to frickin' China.
Hmm.
You think they care?
They don't.
No.
There's
And
always
then
going to be a customer.
yeah, when their energy prices continue to skyrocket and we just can't physically ship enough LNG tankers across the Atlantic to keep their economies running the way they're used to, they will still probably ultimately buy some renegotiated Russian energy. I mean, either that or from the Middle East. But I mean, who knows? Whatever you're getting from the Middle East, where did it come from? Yeah.
I don't remember if we talked about it last week. I'll throw up the article real quick, but I think companies like Shell are blending 49.99% Russian oil into anything else and then
Yeah.
calling it a Baltic blend.
Yeah.
It's
I
going
mean,
to find its way to market.
look, the free market's going to try and figure this stuff out. Look, if we were in this ample glut of energy in the world right now, we wouldn't be seeing all these gymnastics, if you will, to try
Mhm.
and, well, we don't really have to violate our sanctions and we can still do what Moscow's decree said. Oh, we'll let the Iranian crude come on so long as Moscow gets to broker the freaking deal and not have Western sanctions affect their ability to trade with Iran. I mean, what are you going to do? Tell India they got to stop buying Russian energy?
Yeah, what, wag your finger? There's nothing to back any of this
I
up
mean,
with
it's
outside of
just,
we are the world, we are the children. Stop.
yeah, yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but this just continues to turn into more of a freaking soap opera.
Mm.
They're still in Ukraine. Here we are. Here we are. I mean, 2.5 months now, something like that.
It's been a minute. I was out in California when this started.
It's been
It was
over 2 months. End of the Olympics.
yeah.
So, you know, I just, I mean, where do you go from here, right? Like, so which countries and which companies are going to be buying in Russian? Well, the short version is some of them will, right?
Yep.
And there is going to be a splintering of the European Union. Now, they can say that they're all united, but when it comes down to it, man, when the rubber meets the road
Hmm.
and plants have to keep operating, houses have to keep getting their electricity, I mean,
Who do you think will be the first to pay in rubles? I mean, looking at this chart again, it looks like Germany is, of course, the biggest customer, 30 billion cubic meters in half a year alone. I would not be surprised if they if they did it, but at this point, you're right. It's kind of a game of chicken. And also, who's going to come out first? Who's going to get crucified? Is Italy going to say we need this energy, and then the whole world paints them evil? Just bad PR. Which I don't know. Bite the bullet and get through it. Because a
Yeah.
decision's not been made.
I mean, it's some serious geopolitical stuff going on. I mean, this is some epic level stuff. And, I don't see, I don't, I mean, they can't replace their gas. It's as simple as that. I mean, they just can't.
Hmm.
Not overnight, right? If
No,
they gave
2 years
themselves
best
5 to
case
10
scenario.
years,
Yeah.
maybe, right? But then, you've got to have people in the West that actually support energy extraction. And we have an article come out, we have news come out just this week that the Biden administration slashes millions of acres eligible for oil drilling in Alaska.
Which seems counterintuitive given current events, but here we are.
And then we have things coming out on like oilprice.com, right? Here's an article, April 26th. Here's the title. Even $100 oil isn't tempting energy-focused private equity fund. I mean, despite the highest prices in nearly 8 years, investors in the secondary market haven't yet shown an increased appetite for buying interests in energy-focused private equity funds. ESG concerns and the volatile nature of energy prices, especially in the past 2 years, have had secondary firms hold off on buying oil and gas assets despite tight global energy market. For the time being, $100 oil is not convincing fund secondaries to purchase oil and gas fund portfolios. Also because some of the secondaries investors or limited partners are pension and other funds now focused on ditching fossil fuel investments and investing in the energy transition worthy assets and funds. Blah.
I was reading a story similar to this, and I had a bit of a theory, if you will. So these large companies, especially these private ones, equity backed, they're maintaining discipline. They're saying, please pay down debt, don't produce more. Is this going to allow an opportunity for small and mid cap companies to maybe get that foot in the door and ramp up their production, get a bigger piece of the pie?
Yeah, I believe that it will.
I think that's probably a positive outcome as far as the rest of this situation goes.
It will take time.
Mm-hmm.
It will benefit few at the expense of many. I mean, we just have to wake up to the reality that we're going to need a lot of hydrocarbons and we're going to use a lot of hydrocarbons for a very, very, very long time. And you're either going to get them yourself or you're going to get them from somewhere else. It's as simple as that. I'm going to say this. If I have to say this every single freaking episode, I will. Because at the end of the day, that's as simple as it is, right? We can think back. I've had people in the industry approach me, and I've seen discussions. Everybody talks about how we need to do more to promote ourselves, about how everything in our society is made possible by oil and gas. Well, you know what? Back as late as the 1960s, the United States oil companies, a handful of executives, really set the price of oil in the whole world. Why would they run PR on something that they know everybody was going to use every single day and every
Right.
single thing that they have?
It's
There was no,
inelastic. People are going to
yeah,
use
like,
it.
why would I waste money to convince people to use what they're already using?
Mm-hmm.
Why would I do that? You
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't do that. It's
No.
stupid, right? The only difference between then and now is that now a lot of the developed world, the Western hemisphere centric, the NATO, the Europe,
Mm-hmm.
and they have all their green and renewables. Oh, great, wonderful. Yeah, you're still using those hydrocarbons, except you're buying them from other places,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Other places that do not care about your environmental concerns. They do not care about your human rights concerns. They just don't care. They're just going to sell you their oil,
Mm-hmm.
And again, it came out not that long ago that, oh, maybe some of these anti-fossil fuel protests in Europe over many years going previous to this were funded at least in part, by Russian energy interests. Oh, gee, big freaking surprise. If that happened, it's no big surprise at all.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you listening, I mean, when I first heard this, of course, it's easy to think, well, that sounds like a conspiracy theory. Really, just give it a quick Google. You will find lots of information surrounding, well, offshore companies in the Caribbean that are able to take Russian money, give it to groups in the U.S. It's a lot of crazy stuff. Please look into it for yourself.
It is, I mean, there's a lot of things we do in developed society that has an environmental impact.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's look at golf courses as one example.
Oh, man. Water?
But you know what? I don't import a golf course, like the actual golf course, from Saudi Arabia or from Russia. I just make it here. It has to be here. I can't get it from some. I may be able, but I got to get the actual golf course is here. It's simple, right? So when other people have interest in selling you their stuff, they don't want you to do it for yourself. If they can have any influence in that. Look, our job working in this industry is to just talk over this stuff over and over and over and over again. And you know what? Facts are facts, We can sit here, though, and talk about numbers and physics and engineering and economies and all these other facts. Some people are just totally into the whole, no, we need to get off of fossil fuels. You know what? You're using them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look at those people and say, you're using it right now. So if you so believe that, drop your phone, drop your computer, take off all your freaking clothes, and walk home.
Mm-hmm.
And don't walk on a paved road.
Yeah. Stick to the dirt. You've mentioned it before. It's turned into a sort of blind religion. We don't really question anything. We go, oh, well, we trust the experts. But there's always bias. Who's funding what? Who wants what results from what study? It's a little concerning to just sit down and consume without questioning.
Yeah. So, I mean, we have this right in front of our face to circle back to what's going on in our wacky world right now. We have this right in front of our face of all these people trying to stand up for, I guess, their morals, believe is right. Hey, Ukraine's freedom is being encroached on. They're being attacked. Hey, you know what? We need to get off of fossil fuels because look at the human turmoil that comes from because of the fossil fuels. Look, your modern society demands fossil fuels. And no matter how many wind turbines and solar panels you put up, that isn't changing. If you want to reduce what percentage of electricity you get purely from fossil fuels, yeah, you can do that. If you want to supplement it, yeah, you can do that. But don't you think for a minute that you can just not use it because it's in freaking everything, right? To say that would be you'll miss the whole point. So if you know that you need to use this, then why don't you make more of it yourself and then simultaneously work on these other agendas? That's fine. I mean, as far as all of the problems we have in the United States, at least we have a far more balanced energy portfolio and non-reliance on foreign energy providers.
Mm-hmm.
We want to sit here and talk about we need oil because we got to punish Russia, but we don't want to develop oil because it's bad for the long term. What's bad for the long term is people being delusional and buying things that aren't real. And it is not real to believe that your energy just comes out of nowhere. All right? It is not real. I mean, in all reality, energy is all around us. We really have no shortage of it, but we create shortages when we create short-sighted policies aimed at long-term goals. And when you can't even tell me what the weather's going to be next week, I have a very hard time believing a complex, global climate model saying what the climate's going to be in 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's just way too many inputs.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't even an argument about climate change. Climate changes. It's an argument about what are you going to do? Are you going to just sit there and shake your fist and say, no, we can't let Russia take over? Well, why are they taking over? Because they have all the energy. Well, we got to get off the fossil fuels. That's all you've been doing in Europe is, quote, getting off of fossil fuels. Mm-hmm. And you're still using them.
Right. Despite all those turbines in the North Sea and all of these solar panels, they're still using a ton of Russian energy.
Absolutely. And I actually think there is a possibility that the average person is going to start to realize that there's more to the energy pie than fossil fuels bad, green good. I mean, there's always a trade-off. I
Mhm.
don't care what you do. And right now it's on the world stage. What are we doing? And how long are we going to continue to do this? So without much more to go into, I mean, I think we can about wrap it up for this week. Every week's going to have a slightly different flavor. Um, Hopefully some people write in and tell us what they like or don't like. But honestly, also, I just want to give other people who listen to this a little bit more, you know, pep in what they're saying. Like, no, 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 no. Don't tell me about this. No, we're using it. Are you looking at your phone? That's hydrocarbons in
Mhm.
there. Are you using the internet with electricity? Charging anything? Come on. You have to understand where your life is powered
Mhm.
and where your stuff comes from before you want to start pointing fingers about who uses what and why it's okay and why it's not. This is the result, in my opinion, largely of multiple decades of short-sighted energy policies towards something that at the end of the day, you want to talk to me about what the climate's going to be in 100 years, but right now, we have Russia saying you either stop now or we might do something real serious. Are they talking about nukes? Because I'll tell you right now, a potential rise in global temperatures over the next 100 years doesn't mean diddly if there's a damn nuke get lobbed over there.
uh,
And that's a fact too.
so if anything comes out of this conflict, hopefully people start to, I don't know, I don't want to say wake up, but realize, hey, there's more to our energy system, to our energy portfolio than I thought, and maybe we do need hydrocarbons, but things might have to get a lot worse before people wake up to that. But like Anthony said, we have plenty of conversations to have with this podcast. Go ahead, comment below this YouTube video if you're listening on YouTube and watching as well. Otherwise, you can always email us at podcast@rarepetro.com, and we'd love to respond to your questions on another episode. If you'd like to learn anything else, please go to www.rarepetro.com. We've got tons of content backlog there. And as always, go ahead and frack that follow button. So we see you next week in the wacky world of energy. Thanks for joining us, and take care, everybody.
Thanks, Tabs.